Devin Nunes is a California Republican who served in the United States Congress for nearly 20 years. He chaired the House Intelligence Committee from 2015 to 2019, and he just left Congress a few months ago to take a role in a brand new social media venture, former President Donald Trump's Truth Social. Nunes says they're working nonstop to ensure that truth cannot be shut down by the tech tyrants. Would you please welcome back to the show, but the first time here in the studio, one of my very favorite people, a champion for all that is good. Please welcome Devin Nunes. Did you have to pay these folks to come and be your fans tonight? Because you got a fan club out here.
I kind of feel like this is old school Johnny Carson setup here.
It's as much fun as that.
And this is fabulous. This looks, I mean, I've done the obviously through Skype before, but this is amazing.
It's a little better than Skype, isn't it?
It is. It's great to be here in person in a free state.
Yes, and we're so excited that you're here. You know, I wasn't kidding. You really have been one of my very favorite members of Congress. I was heartbroken when you said you were leaving Congress, because I said, there's one guy we can count on to be tough and just hang tight. But it's for a good cause, and there's some pretty big news that's breaking this weekend about why you have left Congress. What's up?
Well, look, the main thing that I've seen over the last few years, you know, going through all the Russia hoax and the impeachment hoax and all of that, is that, you know, we can't win the communications war because it's bad enough that 95% of the media is left-wing and slanted and fake. But when you run it through that funnel of the social media companies, you know, what gets to the American public is very, very little. And so I could just continue to see this problem of us not being able to get our message out to the common person because of what the social media companies and how they were filtering. And then, of course, you know, what did they expect us to do when they shadow ban us and then ultimately they kicked President Trump off completely?
Yeah.
So it left nothing else for us to do. President Trump had no choice but to go and create his own company. And that's what he's done, that's what he's doing. And look, the big news is that we don't have a wait list anymore. We are fully launched. So if you have an iPhone, you can get it, download it right now.
So, Truth Social, that's the name of the website or the name of the app. Truth Social, and you can go to the Apple Store, the Google Store, the Android Store, any of the platforms.
We've launched Apple first.
Okay.
So we've been testing that. We just went to a brand new cloud called Rumble, which a lot of you probably know Rumble. It's where a lot of the conservatives are on Rumble. It's a competitor to YouTube. Well, at the same time, they have a cloud, and we're their first big client because, you know, we can't rely on any of these tech tyrants that, you know, you get halfway down the road and you get people and then boom, they cut you off. So we're building this block by block so that we cannot be canceled.
You must believe this is an important thing to do. You had more cash on hand than any member of Congress. So if you'd run for re-election, you were a shoo-in. You had a strong campaign. You left Congress despite the leadership positions you had because you believed that this was important. Even more important than just being a member of Congress.
I believe, honestly, Governor, I believe it's the most important issue at the highest level. And a lot of it is because of, you know, working with the intelligence agencies and the military over all the years. And you learn, you know, some very basic things. And that is you can't win a war without communications. And we are in a propaganda war in this country. And so I just felt, look, when President Trump called me, it was, you know, really funny because, you know, I had been preaching this around the country last year, saying how wrong this was. And he said, look, I want you to come and do this job. And I had actually discovered, you know, it's amazing what happens when you're not shadow banned. Because, see, I was one of the first guys to go to Rumble. I think I was the first person to go to Rumble. And then everybody found out. I was on YouTube. I didn't know any better what YouTube was, but I had 9,000 followers on YouTube. I had a little podcast I was doing. I thought 9,000 followers was great. Well, then I noticed that, like, my views every week would go down and down and down on YouTube. And I said, well, this is impossible. I have more family members than what I was getting views. At least they would at least click on it. And so do you know, in joining Rumble, nobody had ever heard of the company before, a video player. I just wanted a video player where I could post my videos. 3 weeks, had 35,000 followers.
In 3 weeks?
3 weeks.
Wow.
You know what I had? You know what I had in 3 months? Nearly 400,000 followers.
Oh.
So it was an eye-opener for me. And then I also was one of the first people to go to Parler. And, I'd been on Twitter forever. I'd put something out to get like 3 likes or something. Nobody would see it. And, had about 1 million followers on Twitter. And on Parler, I was, by the time until Bezos and Amazon cut the cords to them, I was over 3 million followers. So how did that happen? So living that, seeing it happen, seeing the horror of it and how we were being suppressed. And look, this is the best thing we have going. The president wants the American people to get their voice back, and this is the way to do it. So the company really, we're looking at, so we do a little bit of what Twitter does, a little bit of what Instagram does, and we're going to, in the future, we're going to basically look at what Facebook does, and it's all going to be in one app. So, the people that are on there, it's already, if you are on Twitter and you're on Truth, you are getting far more engagement on Truth already, even though we've barely begun.
I mean, that's amazing to think of it having that kind of impact, but it's sad to me that some guy at Twitter who's probably some 25-year-old still in his pajamas at noon with a bag of Cheetos in his lap is making the decision about what the rest of us can and cannot see. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
So I'm so excited that you're doing this.
And the other thing is even Instagram. So there are people on, so I know, there are people on Instagram, they post a lot on Instagram, and they now have more followers, total followers on Truth than they have on Instagram. It's not explainable, and that's why it's so important that we open this internet back up, and that's what we're doing at Truth.